Hi there. So my name is Sandy McAlpine. I am a licensed broker in North and South Carolina, and I cover Charlotte, Lake Norman, and Myrtle Beach. And how I do that is I am a superwoman. No, actually, I go back and forth between both markets. I have a very established business in North Carolina and a newer established business in South Carolina. However, I've been in South Carolina for 16 years, traveling, owning properties here, and very, very busy. So that's a little bit about me, but today I'm going to talk about buyer's remorse and mistakes when buying real estate in these areas. So, there's a lot of people that bought during COVID. You guys know the market went crazy. People waived contingencies. They paid way too much over asking. There was so much going on. They waived inspections and now they have remorse. A lot of people paid way too much for a house than they should have budgeted, right? We all know that a bank will loan you a mortgage for way more than you're honestly willing to pay with your budget. So a lot of people like Dave Ramsey preach, you should not owe money on credit cards. You should not have debt. You should not have a car payment. You shouldn't have a mortgage payment. But ideally, people want to own a home. They want to live somewhere that's theirs. They don't want to rent and throw their money away to a landlord. So they purchase. But what happened when the rates went down to 3% is everybody went wild and they were able to buy a magnificent home for way less than it would have cost them normally. And, a lot of people are house poor at this point. And that's a sad fact, right? Credit card rates have climbed so high. Some people are paying 20 to 30% on credit card debt right now. Inflation is high. Gas, groceries, everything just costs so much more these days. And really people don't have any discretionary income left at this point to pay for anything. So when these HVAC is breaking, when you have plumbing issues, they have roofs that need replacing, all of these things that they bought when they bought the home, they bought the problems with the home, and now they don't have the money to fix them, or they're having to use credit cards or home equity lines. Now, that's another thing. A lot of people went ahead and started taking out this mysterious new equity that they had after they bought these homes a couple years ago and started pulling equity lines so that they could take more debt and put it on bad debt. And all they did was move money around like seashells, right? So they still have the debt. Now it's a tack of a lien on their home. So now they owe outrageous money on their homes. They might not even be able to sell their home and get out with any down payment money for another home. And the market prices are high right now. So with that being said, you say, Sandy, what do we do, right? What do we do? So the best thing to do is to arm yourself with information. If you contact a great realtor in your area to come by and do a market analysis, otherwise known as a CMA, we all know how to do a CMA, but a specific one to the neighborhood you live in, go over all of the updates and upgrades and everything your home has and everything you've done to it since you bought it. Have the agent do a seller net sheet. This is so very important. You want a seller net sheet done so you can see after sale costs and carrying costs what you can walk away with. Do you know your payoff balance? Do you know how much you would have to pay the mortgage company to walk away, and also the attorney's fees and the realtor fees? If you don't know, I highly encourage you to reach out to a real estate agent, interview a couple, and the agent that does this for you proficiently and also gives you a really good idea of the process of selling your home and all the steps involved to getting it sold and after the sale, that would be the person that I would pick to be my real estate agent. So knowing that a lot of people only put 3.5% down during COVID, knowing that even though the market's gone up a little bit, there might be a lot of people that are upside down in their home because it costs at least 6%, sometimes more, 7% to sell your home. So I know that there are a lot of people out there that are in trouble with these home equity lines. They have I think every American has an average of $6,000 of credit card debt. But I personally know people with $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in credit card debt, student loans, It's pretty sad. So with that being said, if you were locked into a certain mortgage payment and now your payment's gone up, and why would that be? If you had a 30-year fixed mortgage, why would your payment go up? Well, because of insurance. We just had a hurricane go through here in Myrtle Beach, and now all the insurance is doubled. Number 2, taxes. All these municipalities are going around and reappraising all of the properties to up the tax base to pay for roads, streetlights, stormwater, police, fire trucks. All this stuff needs to be paid for, post office. So they're going around, they're readjusting your tax values on your homes, and they're raising your taxes. Thankfully, they don't do this every year, but in some markets, they do raise your tax value to the current market price. So when a house sells, sometimes they raise the tax value to the market price. Unfortunately, there are plenty of areas that are waking up to doing this. And, then you've got these people with the ARM loans. So they did the ARM loan, 1-year ARM, 2-year ARM, that's adjustable rate mortgage. They had a low rate, and now they don't have a low rate. They might have a 8 or 9% rate that's moving and fluctuating. So the payment is changing. And if you have any idea about what's going on in the economy, and these people have no discretionary income, they're already house poor, now their payment is changing $300, $400, $500 a month, that can really affect a family. That can really affect someone's, livelihood. And I can see where homeowners all across America could be strapped for cash. On the flip side, 47% of homeowners, I think, in America own their home without a mortgage. So there are people out there with a ton of equity that are sitting on equity, that own their home outright, that don't have all these loans. But equally, there are people that are in tons of trouble. There are also all of those Airbnb gamblers. Okay, so those were people that were using the hustle of Airbnb during COVID. Was very popular. People could not travel outside the country. And the idea of owning another piece of property and renting it out and making money on it was very favorable to lots of Americans. So what did everybody do when the rates were low? They ran out and bought tons of investment properties, beach homes, condos, properties on lakes in order to Airbnb. But what happens when the market turns and the economy is back down and inflation is high and people aren't traveling and they're not using those Airbnbs? So right now we're seeing a flood of Airbnb homes about to hit the market. I'm assuming there's about 1 to 3 million homes out there. Maybe a third of them will probably get put on the market because these folks that bought them can't pay for these Airbnbs to sit empty. They can't afford to keep them, not when they're not making money. And people are now able to travel outside the US. So I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of inventory dumped in the next year or two from Airbnbs. So again, people went way over their budget, living paycheck to paycheck. This is so typical right now. All the people that did the Airbnb gambling are not only going paycheck to paycheck, but they're also paying expenses for another property. They're paying HOA dues, taxes, loans for Airbnbs to sit. And I know that they're probably hoping this summer they're going to get bookings, right? They're just waiting it out, freaking out. I know because I talk to these people all the time. I'm probably going to get some of those listings to list them, to sell them to other investors because they can't carry them anymore. It's just, it'll turn around at some point, but you have to have a lot of cash to hold on to those things. So the rising cost, again, taxes, insurance, HOA, investor purchases dropped 30%, y'all. They can't cash flow right now with the rate so high. So there's also less buyers looking for those units, right? The Airbnb units. So if you want help in this market, you need an agent that knows what's going on and understands this economy and this new market that we're in. We have a lot of buyers still out there. a lot of cash buyers. I have over 30,000 people in my database. And so when I get properties, I'm very mindful of targeting them to my own database and also doing tons of online marketing to make sure that I get the most views and the most traffic in my listings. And I know that's important to my clients as well. It's a weird market. The rates are still in the sixes as of February 6th. But hopefully this 2024 will be a good sign. We'll see some inventory drop the market, and we'll see some buyers come out when the rates drop yet again, hopefully in the summer. And I hope to see you guys soon. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach